Welcome to Wildly Capable with Kate, a podcast made for those looking to unleash their wildest capabilities. I'm your host, Kate DeRocher, a dating, relationship, and self-worth coach on a mission to help people build better relationships, starting with the one they have with themselves. In each episode, we'll dig deep, turn inwards, and embark on a transformative journey. Together, we'll break free from unhealthy patterns, rip through self-limiting beliefs, heal past wounds, and build unwavering self-worth, all to create healthier relationships as a result. Get ready to explore the wild, untapped potential within you. Are you ready to see just how wildly capable you are? Subscribe now and join us on this empowering adventure. Remember, your wildest capabilities await. If you're going through a breakup right now and feel like you're going crazy from it, then this episode is for you. Hey guys, this is Kate DeRocher, and you're listening to Wildly Capable with Kate. Thanks so much for tuning back in. Today, we're exploring a topic that touches pretty much every single one of us at some point in our lives: breakups. And more specifically, the psychology and science behind breakups. As a dating, relationship, and self-worth coach, one of the biggest reasons people begin working with me is because they want to heal from a breakup. I have people contacting me every single day to ask for advice on how to move on, how to let go, and how to come out of their heartbreak stronger than before. I think we can all agree, hands down, that breakups are the absolute worst. I say this all the time, but I'd rather have someone literally break my arm than break my heart. I'm not even kidding. The pain I've felt from breakups is really unlike many other pains I've felt before in my life. And I actually have broken my arm. Breakups are an awful process filled with complex emotions, immense periods of grief, loneliness, and, if handled well, even growth. In today's episode, I want to help any of you out there listening to this who have a broken heart or have gone through a breakup before make sense of why that process was likely so insanely difficult for you. Because believe it or not, there's a science behind why breakups are such a big deal. You see, the experience of heartbreak and emotional pain associated with breakups involves various psychological and physiological factors. Here are some key aspects: brain activity and neurotransmitters. Romantic love and attachment activate specific regions of the brain, such as the ventral tegmental area and the caudate nucleus. Yes, I had to Google those words, and no, I'm not sure if I even pronounced them right. But the point is, you guys, that breakups actually impact our brain's functioning. These areas in your brain are associated with pleasure and reward. When a relationship ends, the brain experiences an actual withdrawal from the rewards associated with being in love. Neurotransmitters like dopamine, which play a role in pleasure, may decrease during a breakup and hence contribute to your feelings of sadness and depression. It's chemical. It's actually something that goes on in our brains. Next up is hormonal changes. Another reason breakups are so difficult is because they can lead to actual changes in your hormone levels, particularly with cortisol and oxytocin. Those ones I do know I pronounced right. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and it tends to increase during emotional distress, like the distress that comes with being dumped or breaking up with somebody. At the same time, oxytocin, known as the love hormone, may also decrease. These hormonal fluctuations can contribute to heightened stress and anxiety when you're faced with the ending of a relationship. Let's also talk about attachment theory. Attachment theory, which I just dove into a little bit more in my last episode, episode 7, the impact of childhood experiences on adult relationships, suggests that humans have an innate need for emotional bonds with others, especially in close relationships. When a romantic relationship ends, it can trigger feelings of insecurity, loss, and a fear of abandonment. It activates the attachment style and it intensifies emotional pain. Another factor is psychological. The end of a relationship often involves a sense of loss, grief, and the need to adapt to a new reality that you didn't even want half the time. People may go through a mourning process similar to grieving the death of a loved one. The disruption of routines, shared memories, and future plans can contribute to the emotional impact. Breakups really are the act of grieving somebody who's still alive. When you grieve over an actual death, even though it's so awful, there's a sort of finality and closure to it. Now, with breakups, there isn't actually something concrete to mourn. With a breakup, you likely will still run into that person here and there, maybe even talk to them, and you most definitely will hear about what's going on in their life, the one that you're now no longer a part of. Moving on when there's no absolute, tangible, concrete closure, like there isn't a death, can be incredibly difficult. Those are a few of the actually researched and proven reasons as to why heartbreaks can be so impactful, so painful. In fact, the phrase heartbreak is not just a metaphor. Scientifically, the brain responds to a breakup similarly to physical pain. The brain regions associated with emotional distress and physical pain show overlapping activity during a breakup. So that term, it's real and it's crazy. Well, the science behind all of this is crazy, but how emotional and affected you are over your ended relationship is anything but that. That is scientific. In my experience with breakups, I've truly felt as if my heart was damaged or ripped out, like something was physically wrong with me. For example, when I went through my breakup with my current partner, Bobby, if you don't know our story, we went through a short breakup about a year and a half ago and ended up getting back together and rebuilding our relationship. But during those couple months when we were broken up, I was like not okay. I was in so much physical pain, emotional and physical. I was having a hard time sleeping. I couldn't eat. I couldn't socialize. I felt physically sick to my stomach for a few weeks. It was a physical, tangible response. My heart was truly broken. Understanding the scientific reasons behind why breakups hurt so much, like mine did, doesn't necessarily make the emotional experience easier, but it can provide insight into the complex roles of biological, psychological, and social factors that contribute to the emotional pain that comes with the end of a romantic relationship. So, with all those researched reasons and explanations affecting you, how do you move through a breakup with as much strength, ease, and grace as possible? Let me break it down for you. And first, let me also say that my steps to healing from a breakup come from my own experience. The experience I just told you about, and many other experiences before that. In some of my breakups, I handled things really well and with a ton of help. But in others, I hurt myself even more, making the healing process either super prolonged or in some cases, that process never even actually really happened until years and years later. I never actually dealt with it. So I know what I'm talking about here, guys. I know more than I would like to. So I'm going to teach you what I know. To begin healing from your broken relationship, you first have to allow yourself to feel any and every emotion that needs to be felt. Feel your feels. During a breakup, you're going to cycle between the 6 stages of grief in a constant and nonlinear way. These 6 stages include denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, and meaning. And while those stages are often listed in the same order, the way you will experience those different phases and emotions will be anything but in order. You may go from acceptance of the situation to burning anger over it all within the same day, even the same hour. That's normal and it's more than okay, you guys. My God, I have gone through all of those stages in a single sentence. So, to get through these stages in the healthiest way possible, it's vital that you understand that they're going to be all over the place, and it's vital that you express, feel, and release each of those emotions. Instead of avoiding the pain, allow yourself to face and feel it head on. Instead of turning to partying, alcohol, other dates, or anything else that you can find to help you pretend that you're not hurting, that can help you mask your feelings, you need to allow yourself to process them all, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones. The act of feeling your feels will be more difficult to do in the short term, but it will bring greater healing, acceptance, and growth in the long run. So choose your hard. Do you want to make it easy now and mask and pretend like you're okay? Or do you want to choose your hard down the line and have to deal with it because you never dealt with it before? Choose your hard. Fully processing your emotions is my first step in how to heal from a heartbreak. The next step is to set clear boundaries for yourself in this situation. These can be boundaries with yourself, like I said, or they can also be boundaries with your ex partner. They can also even be boundaries with friends or family, anybody else in your life. Whenever I start working with a client who's trying to mend their heart after an ended relationship, I have a few rules, quote unquote rules, that I suggest for them to follow. These rules / boundaries, whatever you want to call them, include first, unfriending or muting your ex on all social media platforms. And in some extreme cases, you can even block them if that's necessary. Now, this is not done to be spiteful or petty. It's done to protect you from seeing something that may hurt you or that you may start obsessing over or make you start thinking about your ex too much over. Mute, block, unfriend, remove, whatever works for you, just do it. Another rule is to cut off all contact. And when I say all contact, I actually mean all contact, not just limiting your conversations. Now, obviously, this rule will look different in cases where children or other shared responsibilities are still involved. But if you don't own a house or a pet or have kids with your ex, then please do yourself a favor and stop talking to them once the decision to break up has been made by either of you. If you two keep checking in on one another or casually chatting here and there, you have very little chance to heal and move on because you'll always continue to hold out hope or have a small part of you that's still attached to that person. So I know it's hard. I know it takes a lot of strength, but you need to go no contact. On top of that, I also highly recommend not allowing yourself to talk about the breakup or your ex to anyone outside of just a couple of your most trusted friends or mentors. In a breakup and in life in general, we have the tendency to want to rehash what happened over and over and over again until we're blue in the face because we're hoping that by doing so, either people will take our side or we'll discover something that we didn't before to help us make sense of why that situation happened. In reality, though, continuing to talk about the breakup, especially in a negative light, will keep you stuck. It's time to instead focus your thoughts on yourself, on healing, and on how to move through the situation in the best way possible. One of my other rules is to avoid any events, places, or parties where your ex might show up. Now, I know this may make you feel like you're letting your ex win, you're letting your ex have some sort of power over you, but let's remove that thought, let's remove that mindset, and know that instead, the truth is that you need time and space to get through this. And seeing your ex in passing and in public will make it pretty hard for that healing to begin. Another boundary or rule to place on yourself is to not allow yourself to mask the breakup through endless partying, drugs, alcohol, or more dates, other men or other women. All of those things are unhealthy coping mechanisms that will leave you even worse off down the line, like I was talking about. It will leave you worse off than you were right when the breakup happened. So, facing the pain head on is the best course of action, even if it's insanely hard to do. You are strong enough to get through this without any sort of mask. And last but not least, I come from the belief that giving back the person's stuff, deleting old photos, and putting away any gifts that they've given you or anything else that reminds you of them is a wise move. I think it's a great decision and a great thing to do. Other people disagree and want to hold on to the memories, and in some breakups, that may be doable. It may not hurt as much. But in others, the hurt is so heavy that any reminder that you have of the other person and of that relationship can ruin your progress, can ruin the progress you've made in healing. So remove those reminders, at least for some time. Just do it for a little bit and see if that helps. Outside of adhering to those rules and boundaries with yourself, boundaries with your ex need to be set too. These boundaries can include discussing going no contact or removing one another from social media, respecting each other's space, and even agreeing on a timeline or process for closure conversations if you guys both agree that that's something that needs to and should happen. Another thing you can do to help yourself heal from heartbreak is to seek support from trusted friends and mentors, or to get help from an actual trained professional. It's so important to have people in your corner who can actually guide you and speak life into you during this time. If you turn to other people who are hurting or have negative mindsets around dating or breakups or men or women, people who are bitter, or people who just don't really know what they're even talking about, you're undoubtedly going to stunt your healing process and your growth as a result. You need to find people who are wiser and healthier than you to lean on during this time. And for many, that looks like hiring a coach or a therapist. I offer an entire program called Healing from Heartbreak, where I walk people through exactly that. I walk them through an 8-week process of returning to the home within themselves after a breakup. I created this program after going through breakups of my own and figuring out what helped me move through them and what hurt me in my healing process. I created this as a love child to all of you so you don't have to struggle as much as I did in heartbreak. Let me help you walk through it. Let me guide you through it so you can come out better and stronger and more healed and ready to date again, ready to be open and vulnerable again. If you're interested in that program, DM me the word capable at Coach Kate DeRocher on Instagram or TikTok, and I will send you more information. I would love to meet you. I also have personally hired my own coach in the past to help me move on after difficult breakups. And you guys, I would have had such a tougher time getting past those experiences if it hadn't been for her. Getting support from someone who's been in your shoes and who's learned from it can be absolutely invaluable when it comes to moving on. So give it a try. Just take a step, take a leap, and give it a try. As you're talking to a trusted mentor or professional and processing the breakup, another thing to focus on is self care. Now, I know self care is such a buzzword nowadays, but when it comes to a breakup, it's much more than just a trend. When your heart is broken, it becomes incredibly difficult to care for yourself, both mentally, emotionally, and physically. When you're lovesick, food doesn't taste good or even seem necessary. Remembering to hydrate is the last thing on your mind. Getting out of bed and seeing some sunlight, that can be so draining and so exhausting. It can be so hard during this time. Like I mentioned, when my partner Bobby and I went through our breakup, I was not doing well. I wasn't able to really even eat to the point where I lost 7 pounds. And that was an alarming amount of weight for my body type. For days, I truly couldn't even get myself to be around food or water or to get outside. But learning to eat and nourish my body again wasn't just necessary for my emotional health as I was healing, but for my physical health too. It was actually detrimental. It was so necessary to get that under control. And the fact of the matter is that if my physical health isn't in check, my emotional and mental health stand a very little chance of being at their best too. And I would say that goes for everybody. So, as you're grieving, make sure you're eating enough and drinking plenty of water. Protein bars and a simple hydro flask will be lifesavers in this situation. And to make sure you're properly cared for, you can also even ask a friend or family member to become your support system and accountability partner during this time. Literally reach out to somebody and tell them, "Hey, I'm going through a difficult time. I'm heartbroken. Can you please check in on me? Can you please make sure that I'm eating and I'm getting out of the house?" Just have them hold you accountable. And even though you may not feel like it, that can be so helpful to have somebody who's cheering you on and who's calling you out and calling you to be more. And in general, having a support system made up of friends and family members, even including your coach, therapist, or any other mentor, is imperative. By surrounding yourself with positive influences and supportive people, you will stand a much better chance at being uplifted and reminded of all of the good that's around you and all the good that there's left to explore in your life. You'll be reminded of that so much more than if you try to face the breakup alone. Remember, healing from heartbreak is a gradual and very individual process. Everyone's journey is unique. Be patient with yourself, give yourself grace, and allow yourself time for the emotional wounds to heal. And also know that while they're gut wrenching and earth shattering, breakups can also serve as a beautiful, incredible opportunity for self discovery and personal growth. You reconnect with passions, you can set new goals, focus on individual development, and you can transform the post breakup period into a powerful, incredible journey of self empowerment. That post-breakup glow up is a real thing. I have seen my life level up every single time I chose to see the breakup as an opportunity instead of as something terrible that was happening to me. It was happening for me. It wasn't happening to me. So try to shift your mindset and know that breakups really can be such an amazing opportunity if you allow them to be. All right, you guys, if you enjoyed this episode, if it taught you anything about why breakups can be so difficult, if it taught you about the science behind breakups, please leave me a comment, review the podcast, subscribe, send it to a friend. The more support I can get during this time to grow the show, the better. And I really want to be able to get these messages out to people because I know firsthand how painful something like a breakup can be and how I just really wish that I had somebody during those times talking me through the process. So please share it with friends and loved ones, and please let me know what you think. Please leave a comment on my YouTube, on my Instagram. Remember, you can follow me at Coach Kate DeRocher. Please leave a review on whichever podcast streaming site you're listening to this through. If you are interested in my Healing from Heartbreak course, or you are interested in coaching at all, please DM me the word capable and we can talk about next steps. Thank you guys so much for listening and for tuning in and for supporting me and engaging in this podcast. It really means genuinely the world to me. So thank you guys again. I will see you here next time on Wildly Capable with Kate. Bye, everyone.